welcome back.
How are you?
We're here back at the kitchen.
Good to see you.
At the main kitchen here at the Broadmoor Hotel. Good to see you again as always. I know we've talked a couple times on the phone. The purpose of this one is I want to see what you learned from the Hispanic Top Chef,
Okay.
what you brought from there. You did the Chef Summit too, and what we can do better to help chefs like you.
From the competition itself, I think it humbled me, right, in many ways, because like you think you're always a quick problem solver, because that's part of our job every day. But when everything is not in your way, you really show the character of where
What do you
you're
mean
at.
not in your way?
You know, like you have an ambition of ingredients. Oh wait, they're not there. And you have this, you've never worked in this facility, so your muscle memory is not there of where things are, so it was just a completely humbling experience, because you have this game plan in your head, and then you get in there and you do it, and you're like, well, this is not what I expected. But again, I know I didn't serve bad food. Again,
No, it was great food.
it was really good food. But at the same time, I know that next time for a competition, for me, I can't just go with what I know. I kind of have to push myself to go outside the box a little bit more. Have something more signature, not something that everybody knows. I was just trying to be like crowd pleasers all around, instead of like, let me put something in there.
Yeah,
Wow,
the Mario
like
flair.
Chef Jimmy's, tomatillo salsa with white chocolate, right? Like, oh, who would have thought that? But that was the highlight of his dishes, right? So things like that, a little more of like personalization to it. When it comes to the summit, that was by far another really amazing part of that competition and the whole experience, because I brought it back, and like a weekend after the competition, we talked about intelligences, and we talked about how people learn, and I just literally took my team and started kind of doing a little bit of the Chef Summit in my lineups, little by little, and they really enjoyed it. You know, they really enjoyed it. We started asking questions, and people started identifying as like, logical thinkers, or as like, intuition or emotional thinkers, and we started pairing them up in stations like that and see how well they did together or how bad they did together, and what can we work on. So I kind of took that and that little activity a lot into that. I talked a lot about branding, and what the Broadmoor stands, and started to highlight as my knowledge grew from the chef summits on branding, and what kind of Broadmoor brand we are, and how do we feature that in the tavern with my team, right? So it goes a lot with the message that we talked about: educate, elevate, excellence, all that.
So you took the whole package.
Oh yeah.
Okay, nice. It's good to hear from our perspective.
Exactly. There's no other point of doing something like this if I'm just gonna like, okay, on and off, right? I think that's not the point of this whole organization, right? I didn't go to Top Chef. I went to Hispanic Top Chef with the Hispanic Restaurant Association. I didn't go to just a TV show. I went to an association that wants to educate and elevate. So I feel like it's my duty to continue that, right? I mean, just like we've always talked about, it's like I'm not doing my job if I'm not passing on my teachings, right? Whatever Chef Patterson taught me, I teach it forward, right? And whatever I learned from anybody else, I'll teach it forward, because if not, I feel like I'm not doing my job, right?
Right.
That's a big part of being a chef de cuisine. It's not just running the operation, making sure the food cost is correct, the order is incorrect, and the guests are satisfied, but it's passing on that legacy, right? Making sure
I love that, passing on the legacy.
Right. I've cooked for, I want to say like 3,000 guests in the past like 3 weeks, right?
That's a lot of food.
Yeah, it's a lot. Believe me, I am still sweating. But the most important part was, when I caught my cook cutting the carrot wrong, and how did I teach him how to do it? I really can, in a way, I really can care a little bit less about how many plates I put out, but how did I fix those plates with each cook, right? And how did I completely
That's the
make
detail
that
you
nice?
want to go to, what cut.
Exactly, that's the fun part about my job, or the parts that I love about my job.
What's the hardest part about your job?
I think it's not even work related. I think it's like what Chef Patterson said, we live in the kitchen and stuff. It's like that work and life balance. It will always be my because I'm such a passionate person, and so like in my mind, I'm like, okay, I need to go home, I need to go be with my wife and my daughter, but then I come back and I'm like, oh, I gotta finish this real quick, and so I think it's that. And then sometimes I need to push myself harder. I feel like I need to, and that's just something that I want to do.
That's just part of who you are. That's that focus, that discipline, that search for excellence. Or
sometimes I do it too much, right? And then I'm like, okay, I'm a little bit overwhelmed. But at the end of the day, that's the good thing about this hotel, right? We have that kind of property-wide safety network, right? I have the chefs up here in the main kitchen that I can rely on. I have chefs over in other different restaurants that I can rely on, banquets, executive chef David Patterson, Chef Justin Miller. I can rely on a lot of people whenever I do get overwhelmed.
The support network.
There's a big support network in this hotel, yeah. So that at the end of the day, sometimes you can take a little step back and go like, okay, let me do this right. So.
Oh, very good. So what could we improve upon? I know it was the first chef summit. It was our second Hispanic Top Chef, and we improved dramatically each year.
I mean, in all honesty, and this is just like me. Maybe ask the chefs a list of ingredients and kind of consolidate one. I know it kind of makes it more challenging, just to kind of like, because sometimes I know that there's always a mystery ingredient, there's always something, but a lot of our job is kind of planning and kind of like, and having an idea of what you're walking into in a way. There's still got to be that element of surprise.
Yeah, and we did that, but we actually considered that.
Yeah.
And one of the things is we wanted to show your creativity.
And absolutely.
But
sometimes you have to have like,
some
type of ingredient that you're looking for in your mind to have that point. Everybody has a special ingredient in their back pocket.
So maybe we asked, like, bring one special ingredient for yourself.
Or something like that. Yeah,
that's
exactly.
A good idea.
Or, hey, make sure that you bring one ingredient that you need to do for that specific recipe that you want to do to make it shine. But then, my recipe might have worked with pork, but it also worked with chicken. I don't have pork, but you gave me chicken. An example like that, right?
Oh, that's a good idea. I like that.
That's one thing for me personally. I mean, the facility that we worked on was phenomenal. That was brand new kitchen. I can't complain about that, really. And the way that you guys procured all the wares and all the small wares and all the hardwares and everything like that was pretty phenomenal overnight, and it was done really well, and it was really good equipment, right?
Oh yeah, Volgrath and
so
Waring.
It was all really, really good. So apart from that, it was just like kind of like maybe kind of like when somebody does a job interview here and they're going to do a tasting, they give you a set of like ingredients they would like to have available, and that's it. They're not telling you, hey, buy me $10 million worth of truffles, but but at least have available some of those specialty ingredients, right? Because you guys had like ripe plantains, but I needed green plantains, and it just happens.
Yeah, it's understandable.
Exactly.
No, but I like the idea of like, hey, chef, bring two of whatever ingredients, it's your choice, just for everybody. Give it so they can give it their signature twist on that.
Correct.
Oh, very nice. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm so happy to hear that you brought a lot of it here. That's our goal.
Yeah.
Is to give you a framework and architecture so you can teach others, educate and elevate them. And you guys already do that, so I appreciate that. So I mean, like I was talking to David right before this, and I'd like to start a larger chapter here in Colorado Springs about.
I think it's possible. Yeah.
Anything's possible.
Absolutely.
It's just we got to do.
And here in the Broadmoor itself, our Hispanic chef community is pretty dominant.
I know.
I think every single kitchen and property has one or two Hispanic chefs from in leadership, not even in line level. We're talking about leadership wise. Okay.
That's one of the reasons we love the Broadmoor.
Absolutely.
The leadership positions they get put in, the autonomy, the excellence that we see, that we know is out there through you, through all the other chefs. And it's highlighted here. That's one of the purposes I've come back for the third or fourth time about highlighting the culture of excellence. So what do you got for me?
When's the next competition?
Well, next year, October.
Phenomenal. Well, we'll keep in touch with me and see.
Oh, we will. We'll have you back. We want to, like this year, we had some chefs giving some samples out there and stuff like that, just highlighting the continued excellence from the previous year.
Phenomenal.
Okay, thank you, Brad.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Jeff.